You're listening to the Zero to Somewhere podcast with Nick Palmisano and Albert So.
We got a groundbreaking episode today for the first time ever. Groundbreaking episode at Dieseljack Media for the first time ever. Zero to Somewhere podcast. We have live in studio guests, Brian and Ben of Mr. Bing. Welcome to the show.
Hallelujah.
Thank you, guys. Hello.
Thank you for that very warm welcome.
Yeah, we're going to hear their story. It's pretty interesting. There's a honking horn in the background.
It's downtown Durham. Someone's already dying.
Yeah, we include the honks. Can you hear the honk, Tom?
That's me. I'm testing my emergency honking on my remote control. It works.
Well, we got a false start.
Yeah.
We're just going to include the front intro. There's no need to edit that out. That was a good intro. And I couldn't hit it again if I tried.
All right, fair enough.
But before we get to Brian and Ben's story, which is pretty fascinating, they're going to talk about Mr. Bing. Let's talk about the week. Nick, what's cooking on the week?
Man, let's see. I got back from D.C. since the last time we spoke.
No, we
You
got
talk
back
about
from
that?
D.C. last week. Yeah.
Man, I
Yeah.
don't even like it all blurs together. This week we started work on Save Our Allies.
Yep.
So that's so Save Our Allies has come on as a customer.
Yeah.
Very exciting. Exciting to work on that mission. We've got a ton to do with them, and we're noticing a trend with our skill set. And one of the areas that we're really starting to really help people with is on the nonprofit side, which is not what we thought was going to happen when we started.
We actually had a new one reach out to us today, which is pretty fascinating. And sometimes, I think the market pulls you in a place where maybe you didn't intend to go, but if we just happen to be pretty good at it. So, we're obviously going to consider keep doing it. That's been a change. Another thing that's happened during the week that has been a struggle, and just to share with everyone out there, we saw the stock market fall a little bit this week, and macroeconomic conditions seem to be changing a little bit. Some of our customers saw a change as well. Like they saw a downward trend in traffic and slides.
If you just heard that noise, that was Tom Hunt banging into a wall. We don't have Hollywood Herd today. We have Tom Hunt, and he just walked into a wall. I just wanted to point that out. Continue to talk amongst yourselves.
But yeah, some of the things that are happening in the broader market, we don't know exactly what's going on. But that's also been a challenge this week because one of the things as a marketing agency that is, I think, really challenging is whenever there's a decline of any sort, you're kind of held accountable.
Yeah. That
has been tough to look. We can't stop declines. I'd love to share I know I have my personal philosophy on macroeconomics, but I'd love to hear how are we handling when something outside of our control is causing declines. You've probably all heard about the iOS update. That's one of the things that's bothering people a lot. And it got updated again on September 20th.
Yeah, and
it's even harder to attribute.
Yeah. I just think that the market is always going to change. Things are always going to get harder, and you have to be a stoic about it, right? You can only control what you can control. So, all right. Attribution is now garbage. I think we can both agree on that. Like it's very hard to tell, what's a sale, what isn't a sale from ads. So you have to change the methodology. Now you're looking at top line sales, and you're looking at, what are you spending on ads and what are the ads doing? And more and more, I think it's going to come down to the creative because it's harder and harder to dial in on that real target audience that you used to be able to dial in on.
Yeah.
Now,
and attribution's only, it's less than a decade old.
Yeah.
Like if you think about it, people are throwing their hands in the air, they don't know what to do. But it's
might as well quit.
Attribution's only a decade old, and even then it wasn't that perfect.
It didn't stop.
Facebook was very good at finding an audience for you, but that tool has not been around.
That's
that
right.
long.
Yeah. Don Draper was not bitching about not being able to attribute sales. He was just making cool ads and smoking a lot of cigarettes.
That's right. That's the old adage in marketing, right? I know 50% is working and 50% is probably not. I just don't know which one it is. That's one of our guests, I believe Ben, he quotes that quite a bit. That is absolutely true. And so right now we're at a position now where the way we're going to solve this is work with our clients. We're going to continue testing creative because we're big believers in that. In fact, next Monday, we at Dieseljack are going into the think tank and we're going to take the top 50 direct-to-consumer brands that are showing significant growth we're basically going to study their ads and be like, yo, how did they do this?
Yeah.
Because
what are they doing that's great?
what are they doing that's great? Because we want to make sure our clients can, if we're going to make a bet, let's follow a leading indicator. I think the days of just letting data tell you everything might have changed a little bit, because you're going to have to measure the top line. So you're going to have to make a concerted effort to make sure that you're leading with something that I think has some likelihood of working. That's something big that we're going to be taking on to hopefully better our customers.
Yeah, and I think another thing that we've decided recently is that we're structuring content so that our customers get more and more at bats.
Yeah.
In the old days, it was all about
big anchor video, big
commercial.
video,
and those still hit, and we still love doing those. I mean, those are super fun to do, but we want people to have more at bats, more looks. Because you no matter what anybody says, no matter how good they claim to be, no matter what audiences that they test with, you don't know until it's out live and people are clicking and buying.
Hey, listen, if Disney can make Lone Ranger, if Disney can make John Carter,
then you can make a
then
bad
you
ad.
can make a bad then you can make a bad ad. All right,
They had Johnny Depp. They had
the dude from Friday Night Lights.
By
the way, that guy's career was ruined. He went like back-to-back bombs, and he's done.
Yeah. And Hollywood's brutal like that. It's like, hey, I didn't write this. You guys hired me.
He went Friday Night Lights. I'm a superstar. I got the lead John Carter. I got the lead Battleship.
Yep.
Like, dude, you suck.
Yeah.
Now he can't. Now he's like a B guy. Taylor Kitsch. Hey, I care about you, man. I care about you. But we also learn about ourselves is we work best with our clients that have a lot of pull. That's the way we want to describe it. So the way we think of it is if we're creating content, we're pushing, we need somebody to also help pull this audience into their bucket. And you can do that by content, or you can do that just by grinding and selling. And our guests today, Brian and Ben and Mr. Bing, I'm telling you right now, these guys are on the grind. They're here in office. Take a look at these buttes. They have been here in North Carolina. Like every free moment they get, they're like, let's go visit a restaurant. Let's go visit a cafeteria. Let's go sell chili crisp.
Yep. Yeah, literally today, I turned around for a second because the doorbell rang, and then Brian was gone, and apparently he went to Duke University.
Oh, and we asked him,
UNC.
do you have a meeting? He's like, no.
Yeah, I don't have a meeting. I'm just going to rappel through the skylight and talk to the executive chef at UNC and try to peddle some Mr. Bing chili crisp.
Brian, Ben, welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys, tell us, because you got a fascinating story. How did you guys come about creating Mr. Bing? Give our audience a flavor. How did you guys come up with this?
Let me ask you first. Are you Asian?
Well, no, but lived in Asia for 13, 14 years. Been almost 20.
Wow.
We have family that's part Asian. His wife is half Thai. I do have some half cousins in Japan.
I was actually joking. I was pretty sure.
We're making fun of woke America, that giving you guys shit for being white guys.
Learned how to use chopsticks when I was 7.
Yeah, why does woke America bust your guys' balls so much?
Sometimes.
Man.
Just some of them. Yeah, that's true. Some of them. People come to your defense really quick, like, hey, guess what? Like, this is the world. We share food, recipes, spins on things.
Yeah, it's that is a sensitive topic. That
You're on the wrong show, my friend.
that is. It's.
Can we revisit this
happy
topic
to talk
later?
about it. It's man. I've been dealing with that since I'm a teenager.
Yeah.
I was we went to Chinese restaurants. My family every Friday or Sunday. Like growing up, big Jewish community and Chinese Asian community where I grew up, and big connection there. A lot of Asian food. My dad taught me how to use chopsticks at a very early age. His family went to Chinese restaurants ever since they're little in the Bronx. Or
You
in
went to
Westchester.
school in Asia, China specifically.
Yes, I lived in China, Hong Kong, Singapore, Taiwan, bit of Japan.
Well, Brad and I met in China, actually.
Yes.
So we actually met in China, like, what, 23 years ago?
Yes, 1998, study abroad.
Right?
Yes.
And there was a period of time where I had lived more of my life in China than I had anywhere else, including in the U.S., right?
Yes.
So that influences you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and you have those formative years.
Do you guys?
But basically, you're a Jewish guy from New York, and I'm kind of a Latino guy from Texas, and we met in China. And that's the way the world is right now, you know.
I'm a Chinese guy from Virginia.
There you go.
Am I allowed
And,
to-
and I want to say
And we
that
met in
And he is, what are you again? I forget.
I'm a Portawap, Portuguese and Italian.
Born in Italy, right?
No, born in the States, but grew up in Italy. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Oh.
But
You were
true or
disliked on both sides of the ocean.
everyone hates me. True or false? Their Chinese is better than your Chinese.
Yeah, their Chinese is pretty good. Yeah, 你们两个会讲中文？
当然可以讲，
可以了。
可以了。
Zang.
那我们继续讲中文好吗？好 Nick。
他说 Zang，
他一点中文都不会讲。
I learned that from Wayne's World.
他什么东西都不知道。I said you don't know anything.
No, Shishi from that the cartoon that my kids used to watch. I don't even remember what it was, but yeah, for a while there was like a Dora the Explorer that was Chinese. Remember what
It's
that
not
was?
ringing a bell.
Yeah.
Nothing.
well,
You can teach kids to learn to Chinese just by watching cartoons because they all have subtitles and they'll have so you put the subtitles in English and you put the language in Chinese. They can't read yet. You can enjoy it, but they really have to get through it.
Actually
Yeah.
learn
Right.
Chinese.
So they'll learn that way.
So you guys met in China, and talk a little bit about the founding of the company, because you guys were just friends, living the culture, studying abroad. How did you come about? How did the idea to be in the food business even come about? Because you guys kind of had sick jobs before you did this.
Well, this is really the story of the food business is really Brian's genesis story. So I think he should kick it off.
Yeah,
with
because
Batman Begins, and then I'm more like part 2. So you go first.
Did you say Batman Begins?
Yeah, kind of.
So that was-
Brian.
Now I'm picturing Brian in like a prison camp, fighting.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, he
anyway.
wasn't Harbin.
Brian is Batman.
You were in Harbin, which I think is where that was shot,
yes. Well,
close to North
look,
Korea.
yeah, we spent some interesting times near the North Korean border, visiting some of the old concentration camps in China. People don't know there were concentration camps in China that the Japanese had there.
Yeah.
I grew up learning about the Holocaust, obviously, but study abroad. And I was at Brandeis. Ben was at Oberlin undergrad, and I grew up with my father was a high school Spanish teacher for 30 years. And I grew up really enjoying studying language. I was good at Spanish growing up. Didn't really speak it at home, but also went to Hebrew school, had that as well. Just liked language. And in high school, there's a girl I dated who was Chinese American, family owned Chinese restaurants in our hometown. And we would hang out there at Khan's Mongolian Garden. And
Did they have chili crisp?
They did not have chili crisp. They probably had something.
Can we even call them Chinese?
They said Mongolian.
Yes, it was fusiony Pan-Asian food. They would cook it on the stone in front of you. It was it was a fun
This might
place.
be shocking to you, Nick, but a lot of Asians, they Americanize the food. for you.
Yeah.
They like the fried, they like the sugar.
And they give you rubber bands around the chopsticks.
Yeah.
Rubber bands,
Oh,
right.
I'm helping you
Sorry,
out.
Nick, it's completely not there.
Oh, look at this guy. He cannot use this at all.
But we had our
that
three
racist?
types. We went Sunday nights was fancy Chinese food. That's when we go to Fortune Garden.
Okay.
Okay. Friday nights was takeout Chinese food. That's when we would go to Genghis Khan Express. Right. And then the high school girlfriend family, that was Khan's Mongolian Garden. That was out in Stanford, and it was the whole stone cooking thing.
Gotcha.
I learned how to clean tables off with you pour tea on the table. You pour tea to clean the table. I was like, that's very interesting. Got into college and did not want to take Spanish. We had to take a language. You had to get proficient third-year level. So I decided to take Mandarin. And at that time, Japanese was probably still more popular in the late 90s, but Chinese was starting to see a thing. And then I got into the film, Wong Kar-wai films, and this whole sort of artsy-fartsy sort of foreign like film award kind of thing, and then tied that in with the Chinese studies, Chinese literature. Ended up majoring in Chinese in college. I had to create the Chinese studies major. I had to get permission from the dean of the school to cobble together credits from Brandeis. They didn't have enough classes in Chinese and Asian studies. Took classes at Berkeley for the summer, studied abroad, was when I met Ben, did classes at Wellesley, Harvard, and just cobbled it together to get enough. And we were the first ones to major in Chinese at Brandeis. And that's how I kind of got into it. in terms of the language. Study abroad in that summer. It was a summer in Harbin, a fall winter in Beijing, and that's when we met. And basically, our story is right on the side of our jar.
Yeah.
If you look at the side of the jar, there's a little picture of a bicycle cart with a food stand on the back of it. Little old lady making crepes. Those are called jianbings. They're savory Chinese breakfast crepes that kind of get folded up into a little burrito thing. Super popular, nostalgic, passion street food in northern China. Not just Beijing, also Shanghai. It's kind of spread all over China, now all over the world. And we're very responsible for helping export the jianbing concept internationally. Ben and I used to eat that stuff all the time. And we fell in love with it. And after having a couple of separate careers doing different things in Asia, I started the Mr. Bing restaurants in Hong Kong. Eventually
Not
brought
just
them
any
to New
career.
York.
You were in finance, investment banking.
yes.
Like, you were,
He's
that's
like,
a good career.
We had a couple of careers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You made it sound like you were like,
like
selling trinkets
yeah.
at like a convenience store. Like
If you guys
were-
get to know Brian, you'll realize that he's doing all of these things at the same time.
Yeah.
He
You're an
has
investment
48 hours
banker.
in a day.
Yeah, you're like an investment banker. What were you doing concurrently, right? Because you were working in like Singapore Stock Exchange or something like that.
First was the luge thing. Did a
All
little
right,
bit of
my
luge.
bad. The Israeli luge team. My bad. In the meantime, he was also an Israeli luger for the Olympics. So you know.
Yeah, let's talk about
humble,
let's
baby.
talk about luge for a second. Let's walk away from this for just a minute and let's talk about luge and how you started being a slider.
A slider. You know the term.
No, you told us the term.
You know that.
No.
You remember it.
I know this. I know the term from the time that I pretended to be a luge person.
Oh, someone
Germany.
corrected you?
That's right.
I told you this story.
That's-
I'll tell it again,
Tell
for,
it again.
for the people, but I want to hear your story first.
Well, growing up, I was pretty athletic, a little pudgy, not tall enough, but I was a good swimmer for my size. I was decent, good golf, baseball, played high school and college golf, but the dream was the Olympics. Growing up was the Olympics. Got to go to the Olympics. Couldn't do it for swimming, just didn't have it, right? And for some reason, I started watching Winter Olympics really resonated, and luge was it. I'm like, I don't know, I'm kind of a little stocky, kind of thick up top, good at bounce, like speed, like cold weather. I'm like, luge is going to be it. And I started studying luge, and I went to Lake Placid and asked them to help me do luge. I want to do luge.
So we actually found a video of your mom talking to the news.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's going to be linked in the description.
Yeah. I mean, which is one of my favorite things because I don't remember exactly, but your mom was basically like, and then he's like, yeah, I'm going to go do luge. And I was like, all right, well, it's Brian. So, he's going to go try. And, and then you were like too old or something at first.
Yeah, so I went to this, it was like a U.S. Olympic luge development camp. They were looking for people during the summers, naturally. And I was watching the Lillehammer Olympics 1994. There's a TV commercial that came on and said, if you want to try out for the U.S. Olympic luge team, call 1-800-USA-LUGE. That's all you had to do.
Yeah.
You just pick up the phone and you call.
Yep.
And I got into this thing.
Yeah, you called.
I got through, and a few months later, they put me on a sled with wheels on a concrete hill going down in Westchester, and I did pretty well in terms of all like the.
You didn't fall off.
Little known fact: the greatest sliders in the world are actually built in Westchester.
Well, there are a few. There are a
true?
few. I'm from Rockland. I'm from the
I just made that up.
That's.
the poorer side of the river.
Well, I don't know, man. It could be interesting.
It could be
factoid.
true. It could be true.
I'm like, I don't know.
But they were like, you're good, but you're 17. Everyone they were taking was 10, 11 years old. Like they had no fear of speed whatsoever.
Okay.
Their bones wouldn't break as easily. And they're like, look, you have a scholarship to go to college. Do that. And I didn't get in at that time.
Were you pissed?
I was really disappointed. I had a huge dream because I'd already done some sliding on ice in Lake Placid as a tourist. And
Wait, they let you just slide on ice as a
where
tourist?
is
you
this?
pay $30.
That's
at the
pretty
time.
cool.
Yeah,
Is that still available?
Yes.
Oh man.
Well, maybe now it's only bobsled. They don't let you do the luge anymore.
It seems like in a lawsuit heavy culture that is America.
Yeah.
That would not be permitted.
It sounds dangerous.
Yeah.
Do you think I could be an Olympic slider?
Yes.
No,
Yes.
you can't.
You have a somewhat similar frame to me here.
This guy's 44
Look at
years old.
Georg Hackl in Germany. I mean, they call him the sausage.
I could do that. I could be the sausage.
The sausage.
Oh yes.
We're doing this, Albert. You and me.
That's the show. Yeah. Next trip, Diesel Jack. We're bringing the cameras. We're going up to Lake Placid and
we're going to slide.
Oh,
And
Yeah, you can do it.
So fast forward.
You
are now an elite slider.
Yes. After college, I decided to give it another go. And I called them up again, the U.S. Olympic Luge Development Program, and they said, look, there's this track in Japan. They just had the Nagano Olympics. They're looking for more athletes. And if you can maybe do it for another country, you might have a way in. Right.
All right.
And so I had some options, whether it was U.S. Virgin Islands, Israel, a few others. Ended up going with Israel, dual citizenship. Got onto the World Cup circuit after a couple of years of training in Japan and internationally, Calgary, Salt Lake, Lake Placid, Germany, you name it. And it became my thing for 3 years. While in grad school, I was a luge athlete, World Cup circuit, qualified for the Olympics in 2002. Ultimately, did not get to race in the Olympics because even though I qualified, Israel's policy was that if you're not a medal contender, if you're not top 5, top 10 in the world, you don't go. This was right after 9/11.
Oh, they're not
Really?
they're not showing
Security.
They're trying to show out.
Yeah,
They only will bring you if you're
Only the best.
If you're
But there was a security issue as well.
there was security at the like Israeli athletes will not even stay in the Olympic Village anyway because of what happened in Munich in '72.
Yeah.
So that's like really burned into the Israeli Olympic Committee's.
So they just didn't want
history.
a bunch of losers.
Yeah, well, it wasn't just me that qualified. There was
Sorry, I want to apologize to everyone out there.
some losers. Even if
yeah.
they-
Listen.
There's a
My
big-
main man Brian's been close to the top. Why are you knocking him down?
I'm not.
knock him down.
It was-
I have not qualified for an Olympics. Just FYI.
I got cut from the JV basketball team. I chucked a basketball at Mark Goldfarb's head, and they were like, "Get out
Mark
the court."
Goldfarb.
Yeah,
Oh,
sorry,
man.
Mark. I
He
did
was
not
the-
mean to do that.
He was also on the Israeli luge team. Doubles. No, I'm just kidding.
So I mean, this is a ridiculous. I mean, it's ridiculous in my mind because it's on top of, like you said, Ben, like all the other things you guys were doing at the same time. So you're studying school, you're learning another language,
You're learning
you already
Chinese.
know Spanish. You've created a major, right? Clearly you've like filed paperwork with all these other universities to let you take classes to create this major. You're learning Chinese. You guys are hanging out in the streets, eating like being friends, and you're doing this. Like how many, like you kind of Ben, what you were saying, like how many hours a day were you dedicating to this?
To
All the different things you were
at
doing.
that period of time, when Brian was involved in the restaurants, I was doing something else completely. Right? I was in Beijing and I had a software company or something. But I went and visited Brian, and he said, "I have a restaurant business." And I said, "Well, I thought you had a job." He's like, "Well, I do. But I do the restaurant on my lunch break."
The restaurant's one of the most like involved, like labor-intensive things you can possibly do.
Right.
And you're in iBanking, you're in software, and you find out, Brian, you're squeezing in a restaurant at lunch.
Well, he's literally like, I visit him and I went up to like the top floor if it was SocGen or Macquarie or something, and he's got like the 18 terminals. He pulls out the drawer and it's all energy drinks. Right? He's like, "Let me show you my restaurant." Throws down 3 energy drinks. Go downstairs and he's like, "This is the property that I've just rented, and this is where it's going to go, and this is this and that." And I'm like, "Well, when do you do this?" And he's like, "Well, I'm doing it right now." But if you notice, we were all over town today. We shot 2 videos. We're doing this.
Yeah.
And if I go tonight, I'm going to go look at my email and I'm going to be like, "Oh, I've got like 100 emails to catch up on." They're all going to be from Brian. Somehow, the entire time.
I can attest to working with Brian. I cannot tell if something is informational, a request, or something else.
Yeah.
Because he'll send an email and be like,
Something
"Look
else.
at this." I'm like,
You have
What
to
is this?
you have to extrapolate information from
Like,
whatever the email is.
yeah, sometimes I look at Nick and I'm like, "Am I supposed to do something? I don't know if I'm supposed to do
And it's
something."
like this is just a picture of a poodle and a zeppelin. I don't know what it means, and then like
Being it.
That's the new pack design. You just hit on the new pack design for the It's a poodle and a zeppelin. It's a white poodle with chili crisp all over it.
So you see the restaurant, it's emerging. It sounds like it's still being built at this time. Is that right?
When was that? 2012 or something?
We opened end of 2012.
And we had done
in
some
Hong Kong.
like we had done some trips, and we went to Beijing, we went to Tianjin, went to some other cities, and we just tried like all the genbing. Like Brian invited me because this was his project at the time. But there was like incredible diversity of genbing. Like in Tianjin, they use like the youtiao, the like oil fried dough. in the
Fried
middle.
soybean like
which is
sticks.
delicious, which I had for breakfast for like 5 years in a row.
That is some fatty
My
shit.
heart still works. And then they use all different types of pancakes. There's ones that have got like purple, like which I guess is
Purple rice flour.
Purple rice flour. There's
Zumi,
green,
yeah.
there's
Zumi.
mung bean. There's like the yellow lentil ones. There's like so many different types.
Yeah.
So that was amazing. I just got to eat like one of my favorite foods all the time, and you paid for it.
Well, we
like today.
ate these things all the time as students
Yeah.
23 years
Yeah.
ago. We were super passionate about it and never forgot. We tried making them back when we got back to Boston after graduating. It was a very passionate thing. There was a cult following around Genbing. People around the world on the internet writing about their favorite Genbing and like which stall they would go to and that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So after the luge thing and he was doing his digital technology thing
This is
over
early
overseas.
internet, right? This is back when you had to get on Netscape.
Yeah.
Well,
This
later
is
than
2012,
that.
man.
Oh,
Just
Oh,
I'm messing around.
geez.
I'm messing around.
Well, throughout all those years, there was a bubbling up passion for Genbing.
Yeah.
Not just amongst us, but around people
Yep.
that went to China for various things. And we're like, why does Genbing not exist outside China? It needs to. It needs to.
Because General Tso's is outside China.
Yeah.
Oh, The Search for General Tso. Great documentary. Great documentary, by the way. And so...
Little known fact, he was a colonel, but they thought it'd be better as a general for the food, so
I did not know that.
that's not true. I just
Oh,
made it
okay.
up.
But Ben was my wingman for the research trip for the Genbing. You know, we went, I don't know how many bings we ate that long weekend, and we found this amazing vendor, Master Ban Shifu, really, really nice gal who was just amazing at making bings, but using different types of flour bases, the purple one, the mung bean flour, the purple, all these different types. And they had taken Genbing to the next level. They
And
were
talk about grit.
yeah.
Theme of the episode. That's just like pure unadulterated grit. You
Yeah.
know, she's just standing there like 16 hours a day in Beijing heat. It's like 40 degrees Celsius.
Or Beijing
What is
cold.
that like? Or Beijing cold.
Which is also
in
crazy.
front of like this coal, like fired, they put those coal bricks in there and it's just dripping sweat all day long, every
Not on the
day,
food.
day in, day out.
Maybe on the
Yeah.
Well, that's what makes it taste good.
Yeah, that's the secret
It's all right.
ingredient.
That's where the salt
No,
comes
John,
from.
you're gonna have to delete that part.
Yeah, but she, I mean, she was just so awesome, and she was so willing to teach us the recipe, the secrets of how to make the batter, how to make the sauces, right? That's where the chili crisp comes from. Every vendor, every Bing vendor has their own hot, crispy chili crisp version of something that they make, right? And there was a
And
brand.
this was your favorite.
Their Bings were the favorite. Absolutely. Plus, we signed a quote unquote joint venture agreement to be their overseas Genbing partner. We drew up the contract on a napkin in McDonald's in Beijing, literally. And that was our right to open a Bing using a Bing shop in Hong Kong, which Hong Kong never had Bings before. Hong Kong is a former British colony. It's very Southern, Chinese, Cantonese, very different.
Did you bring the Bing to Hong Kong?
Yes, we introduced Genbing to Hong Kong.
Woo!
Yeah.
Can you verify this?
Yeah.
Let's Google it.
All right,
Just
man.
type.
Google
just,
it.
Well,
just
No,
Google
no.
it.
I mean, okay. I'm sure somebody at some
we
point,
absolutely did.
made one, but like you guys brought it in mass.
Obviously, people
Oh,
were
yeah.
making Genbing in Hong Kong, but I think like the evidence is, I remember all of the media coverage. There were just like reels and reels of coverage, and you had there's one location specifically that was under the escalator, right, in Central, where all of like just one street down from where the wet market is, and it was just like packed, and it was a lot of mainland Chinese who were just like wrapped around the block because maybe you could get Genbing, but that was the only place you could go pay for it and get it, and it would be like commercially available.
I like to point out that Ben subtly slipped that in one of my locations, as because now you how many restaurants did it eventually? How many locations did it grow to before you came to the United States?
Oh, just two.
Two in Hong Kong.
Two in Hong Kong.
Two in Hong Kong.
And then you decided. What made you say, okay, I'm gonna open some of these in the United States too?
Well, there were franchise requests from all over the world within 6 months of opening our first store in Hong Kong. CNN did a little commercial thing on it. We were getting requests from Africa, Europe, America, Australia, and we were unique in Hong Kong. But let's be honest, we were still just another Chinese street food in Hong Kong.
Sure.
We were the only Bing shop.
Yeah.
And that made it cool. But whenever I'd go back to the States to visit family, I started to see this food hall culture growing here and more authentic global ethnic street food thing growing here. And I was like, damn, like Mr. Bing would really pop here. And we had a pricing issue in Hong Kong because it was a Chinese street food. people didn't want to pay a lot for it. They wanted to pay the same thing as a dumpling or a noodle bowl. But the thing is, jianbing is very labor intensive.
Yep.
And real estate in Hong Kong is insane. It's as bad as New York, right? And the leases are only 2 years long. As soon as you do well, the landlords jack up the rent. It's just if you're not part of a big conglomerate group in Hong Kong, it's very difficult to grow a food business or to scale it. Just really hard. So franchising.
So you're saying I should not follow my true dream of owning a Hong Kong street restaurant.
Oh, well, you can do it in the States, but I wouldn't do that in Hong Kong. Man. No, I would not.
Oh, well.
He wants to sell meatball
It's
subs
very,
in Hong Kong.
very difficult.
Meatball subs. Yeah, I just want like a tray and just like,
Yeah, so it just seemed like bringing Mr. Bing to America was going to be the bigger opportunity.
Yeah.
Right? But we created the brand in Hong Kong. We had Chinese graffiti on the wall. We played Mandarin rap and hip hop and rock music, stuff that Ben and I love listening to.
Can you guys drop some Mandarin rap for us, real?
Oh my God!
Just anything
on the spot. No,
just give me like 3 verses.
That might be embarrassing.
It'll be
I know Brian could actually do it.
well. There is a YouTube.
You can't
video.
look it up. You can't look it up.
No, there's a
cheating.
YouTube of me singing in a recording in a
We'll
recording
link
studio.
that up. We'll link that up in the description.
Put the phone away.
Brian Goldberg sings Chinese
Yeah, but
on YouTube.
But if you start playing
right there,
it now,
in a studio, right? I'm not going to play it on the thing here,
I feel
but
like
you can see me. You can see me going.
Let's go.
We will do it.
That's
Let's
not
go.
rap. It's a
I
rock
want
song.
real live right now. If you're not going to do it now, then if you're scared, just say you're scared.
I'm scared to do it.
You can sing
No,
Shin
it's-
Tyrone, right?
Well, that's not my favorite one.
Yeah, but that's the one that every foreigner can sing.
Okay.
But we're not going to do that now.
Xin
So
Tyrone.
anyway.
What a Xin Tyrone.
Yes.
你知不知道？你知不知道？
Do you know? Do you know?
So this
I'm
actually
translating for
Oh,
you.
thank you. I appreciate it. I'm like, there are noises happening right now.
Goldberg's Chinese crepes.
Oh,
Right.
Lao Jin Jian Bing.
Lao Jin Jian Bing.
So the Chinese Bing means crepe in Chinese. It's
Right.
Mr. Bing, which has a lot of fun things you can do with that anyway. But Lao Ji is old gold grilled pancakes. Goldberg's Chinese crepes. So that's what the Chinese means.
That's cool.
And the man is, even though we're doing sauce now, we're doing condiments. We don't do the restaurants. Closed all the restaurants at the beginning of COVID. We can talk about that.
Yeah, let's
but-
finish this thought.
No, that's just it's the history of it. It's we keep the man, and that's the crepe spreader and the crepe flipper, and the stars it's the kind of little ode to old China. But it's a fun thing. We're Mr. Bing.
Yeah,
And it's not only
you
fun,
guys
but
have
this
by
is
far the best branding
precisely
in
yeah.
all of, not that there are a ton of Chili Crisp brands, but you guys are by far the best.
Yeah, the leading competitor when it was shared with me. I mean, I think it's fine to say that Fly by Jing. I thought it was Mexican food, like the way they present itself.
It does.
It looked more like a Mexican fiesta.
Yeah.
Like I didn't really know what it was.
It's
Yeah.
it's a great concept, but the point is like we didn't
These guys
hire
are
an
these guys are
agency.
gentlemen. I just want to say these guys are gentlemen, and they don't want to talk badly about their competition.
Well, I can say I will
but-
say that we had all the chili crisps so when we met you guys, one of the things that we talked about was like, well, none of us know what this thing tastes like. So we ordered it. So Nick went and ordered.
I ordered all
of them. So Lao Gama, Fly by Jing, Mr. Bing, and others. There were others that we got
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Some of the brands you didn't name when you said there was other chili crisps, and I can tell you that Fly by Jing lasted the longest, meaning the fewest people ate.
It sat for a while. Also, there was one of them that was like 1.2 million calories per teaspoon. like I was eating it and I was like, man, I don't feel that great. And then it was like, I looked at it, it was like, holy crap. Like I just ate 3 days worth of food and like,
That's the one I use for weight gainer in my
Yeah.
schedule.
the Cartman.
Was that
Cartman.
Mr. Bong?
I don't know.
I don't know.
wasn't
We
Mr. Bong.
just bought all.
We
of
just
them
bought a
and tried
bunch, but like,
They all have different flavors.
But at the time,
Right.
I'll tell you guys this, and this is true. We were doing a weight loss challenge as well, and we got recommended to eat Trifecta Foods. Trifecta Foods is listen. I'm gonna badmouth Trifecta Foods, but if you want us to market for you, we will market for you. But it does taste bad.
I won't. I'm just not.
So
gonna,
we order.
I'm not going to do it because we don't market things we don't believe in, and I think
no, you will lose weight because it tastes so bad.
You will lose weight because you would rather just die.
So we were on this weight loss challenge, workout challenge, and Trifecta was like a sponsoring whatever. We had to buy Trifecta. So I bought Trifecta foods, and I remember bringing the meals in and like heating them up, and the guys would be like, "This smells terrible." I was like, "I got to make it taste better with something." And at the time, Chili Crisp hit our desks, and I was like, "All right, well, I'm gonna try Mr. Bing as well, in addition to all the others." But yeah, for legitimately, it's good. I mean, our company still continues to add Chili Crisps to whatever it is they're eating. So is why we said, "Hey, listen." We think this shit goes on everything. Kind of like, but Frank's Red Hot already had that. So we're like, we're going to go after the same concept. But that's how we got introduced to Bing. Talk about how you guys transitioned from restaurants to sauce. Because you kind of hinted at it before. It sounds like you guys got hit in the face with a little COVID.
So you're kicking ass. You have 6 locations in New York. And then what happened?
Enough to leave your investment banking job, is that right?
So in Hong Kong, we had one. I was in banking, working on trading floor, and the Hong Kong Stock Exchange had a 1 or 2 hour lunch break, which allowed me to go to the restaurants in the middle and come back for the afternoon session. That's how that all happened, by the way. It started taking off, a lot of recognition for what we were doing, a lot of franchise requests. I resigned from my banking job at SocGen. I actually had a lot of support from my boss at the time to do it. It was like, he's like, you should go pursue this. Yeah.
Which is weird though, because I would have thought that you would have continued to balance the low stress job of banking with the low stress job of being a restaurateur.
You're juggling. I mean, I was a trader. I was a sales trader, so I wasn't doing spreadsheets. I was dealing with like a lot of different stocks, a lot of different phone lines,
yelling at people.
Sell.
Hit the bid, lift the offer, like very quick, short-term decision kind of things with like micro movements in the market. So it kind of suits the restaurants a bit in terms of all the different things you're dealing with.
Have you ever seen the movie Over the Hedge?
No.
There's like a squirrel in it.
Okay.
And the squirrel sees the rest of the world in slow motion because he's so fast. I don't know why I just thought of that.
That's kind of how I feel sometimes.
That's an apt metaphor. Because most people start businesses on their lunch break.
Their banking job.
Yeah, I got 2 hours. What should I do?
Man, I don't want to waste these 2 hours.
Which is, by the way, it's an industry that's high stress, people fail out of it all the time. People can't hack it. Long hours, high pressure.
I want to be an entrepreneur in a foreign country in a low margin, competitive, high stress business.
Ultra competitive, known as the biggest grind, the food business. I want to just make fractions of coin.
I'm sorry,
per
there's
jar.
a lot of respect here. It's not, I'm laughing, but there's a lot of respect.
But this is how much love there is for the business. That the product.
Yeah.
You know,
well, it wasn't just me. I mean, I was very fortunate to have very entrepreneurial friends who took risks in Hong Kong. And some of them were early joiners of Alibaba. Mm-hmm. Some of them brought Sotheby's and Christie's to Asia. Some of them, just did a lot of amazing. They encouraged me to do this. They were like, Brian, you should go after this. You're passionate about it. Great brand, great. We came up with the name over drinks in Hong Kong. It was Bing something. It was a Mr. Bing. Yes, Mr. Bing. And, it was very difficult. It got off to a great start, but then, as I said, very difficult. Closed it down after we had 2 stores. I moved back to New York and then saw this happen, right? Ben was still building up his, by the way, he's got an amazing background in digital marketing, analytics, built a couple of companies over there. I was a small early investor in that. And so that's where his skill set comes into play with our company now, obviously, with digital marketing. I was also an
Olympic gymnast.
Were you?
Time.
He's very flexible.
You were an Olympic gymnast?
Well, some people would say that.
Would anyone in the Olympics say that?
I did. I was a partner in a yoga studio.
Okay.
In Shanghai.
Okay, that's not the same thing.
So, I'm just saying.
Wait.
So maybe not as impressive.
So you're starting software companies, owning yoga studios, and also investing in restaurants at the time.
Yeah. You could, and I actually was starting a family at the same time too, which is probably more work.
Yeah.
Than all those things combined. So I'm just saying. I mean, you guys.
Yeah. But I saw his wheels turning. That one day he might join me on this journey. And the restaurants took the path they did, built it up in Hong Kong, closed it, moved back to New York 6 years ago, restarted it. It went amazing, built it up, much bigger than it was in Hong Kong. We had actually at one point probably 8 locations going, small stores, food hall kiosks. We were in college campus cafeterias, partnering with all the big college campus dining companies and all that.
And 2020 was going to be your biggest year.
It was, we got some significant investment in. The brand was growing, and we had developed our own sauce, which is now this. But COVID was the end of the line for us.
COVID was not good for the food industry.
So talk about that for a sec, because we talk about that internally a lot. Like, we were so lucky. We started literally as COVID was kicking off, and we were so lucky that we started a business that supported essentially the only retail that was available during the crisis.
E-commerce.
And our other businesses all are e-commerce centric. But I watched a lot of friends that have very successful businesses that are very capable people.
Yeah, physical location-based businesses.
Just get crushed. So talk about what that was like. Basically having your livelihood taken away by, a pandemic, the government, whatever.
Yeah, it is just horrible. Look, it wasn't just COVID, to be honest. I mean, the first few locations did great. It was different. We had trouble replicating some of the early locations that we had that just were amazing. And in New York City, it's hard. You're the coolest thing one day, and then you're not the coolest thing anymore.
Yeah, just like the MTV Music Awards.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, in retrospect, maybe we should have started Mr. Bang in another second or third tier city. Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Raleigh-Durham.
I just want you to know that that's the most New Yorker thing you could have possibly said.
Third tier.
Second or third tier.
Like a fourth tier city like Durham.
But New York is freaking hard. It's just, it's really,
I've
so
heard it
hard.
said that if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere.
No, that's not true.
Well, we did. The brand built up, but it was very tough. And, we were growing, and I started to, the writing may have been on the wall for the restaurants before COVID, but luckily we had started a separate company, and Ben encouraged me to do it as well, because we had developed our own all natural, made in USA, clean label version of chili crisp from China.
Talk about what clean label means.
So,
because I am not a label checker. I just want to know if it's delicious.
It is delicious.
Excellent.
And it's healthy.
But most people do care about labels, even though they don't have healthy habits. They check labels anyway.
Yeah. So I mean, basically, it's no preservatives. We don't use any chemicals. We don't use any colorizers or things like that.
But it's still very colorful.
It is very colorful naturally.
Yeah.
Because of the types of peppers that we use, the mushroom powder. We use expeller pressed non-GMO oil, and there's a whole thing behind.
Albert, can you tell me what he just said?
No.
Okay.
Non-genetically modified. I know that.
Ben, can you tell us what he just said?
Expeller pressed.
Yes.
No, but what's that mean?
What does it mean?
What does it all mean?
So there's actually a big debate about the health qualities of different types of oils. But generally, if you're going to heat up an oil, right, then it becomes unhealthy. It becomes processed. You need chemicals to process it. There's some people believe that heated oil can be carcinogenic. So if it's cold pressed, right, and it's not treated with any chemicals, then it's going to be a more healthy oil for you, right? And different types of oils also have different health impacts, and canola is believed to be one of those, which is one of the healthiest. So
actually, yeah.
Yeah.
If it's expeller pressed.
There was it's expeller. So we actually went out of our way, and some labels say like, and there's one brand that actually says like olive oil, soy oil mix, or something like that. And you can get away with different things, and it's not cheap. Oil has become very expensive.
Sure.
Yes.
So, yeah, this is a different kind of tangent that we're going into, but the oil is an important component. It's the
you guys
medium.
you guys have put a lot of thought into these ingredients. Like, this isn't just what's the cheapest thing that we can make so that we can increase margin.
Yeah.
You guys have actually made
people dog you
hard
online
decisions.
about the price.
Well, we were driven by Whole Foods into this partially. Like back in Hong Kong, we created our own version of chili crisp. We were using a brand called Lao Gama, which is the old godmother sauce. It's a red and yellow jar with the angry grandma looking on it. Some people call it angry grandma sauce. It's awesome. She's the OG chili crisp. By the way, Mexico has a chili crisp, chili crunch culture. Italy does, Morocco does, India does. The Chinese one's probably the most well-known, but chili crisp is a global thing, by the way.
Yeah.
Now, La Gama, billion-dollar company, we were using it for a long time. We'd line the shelves of our restaurants with it, but filled with MSG, filled with preservatives, has a little bit of a fishy flavor. I love it. A lot of people love it. Massive following, but not exactly the most palatable for your average mass market American. And also, it's just made with stuff that's just really not that good for you, honestly. Some people don't care about that. So when we were approached by Whole Foods during our restaurant run in New York, they want us to open a Mr. Bing kiosk in Whole Foods in the prepared foods section, making a Whole Foods compliant Bing with Whole Foods compliant chili crisp. So we developed this for that originally, but we already had the recipe that we developed for this in Hong Kong 8 years ago.
Gotcha.
And it came back to be useful. We had it in Hong Kong. We had bags of it that we would use, but we wouldn't sell it. And I knew one day there'd probably be some demand for that. Chili crisp started seeing a moment in America as a flavorful, crispy, crunchy thing that's not all about heat. It's about flavor and texture.
Yep.
And it makes so many international foods, all kind of foods, better. It does the cooking for you. There's so much cool stuff in it, great stuff in it. So we learned about that and made it all natural, no preservatives, expeller pressed oil. By the way, other oils that are not expeller pressed, they use hexane. It's a chemical.
Yeah.
When the seeds go in there and there's a chemical that extracts the oil off, but then you have to remove the hexane from the chemical. Expeller pressed is literally just sheer pressure that gets the clean oil off the seeds. That's what expeller pressed is. That's the difference. You don't have hexane involved.
Very cool.
So those are all important things, and so that's how this came to be.
Hyper clean ingredients, great branding. COVID happens. You get your ass kicked.
Yep.
You lose 99% of what you have fought for years, which had to have been soul crushing.
Yeah.
But not only do you not walk away from Mr. Bing, which most people would have done, but you triple down on it with this.
Yep.
So you guys are two dudes that have, you guys can really do anything. You both have a lot of skills
that most companies would pay you a nice healthy salary for.
But you're slinging the Bing. Talk about that.
Let me edit what you just said. A key point. I did not convince Ben to come join me.
Understood.
I was already convinced.
Okay.
Did you recruit? How did you guys?
I had been begging him for years. Get me out of the software industry, please. Give me a good excuse.
Ben built an amazing thing. Measuring what people are saying online about brands and helping all these big brands, including a lot of global large CPG brands, understand what's happening on the
internet.
internet.
Albert actually knows a little bit about that business.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's really interesting.
No, my point though is he has a successful exit.
Yes.
He has a world of experience, as do you, and this is not the easy path.
No.
So for our listeners, what we try to get at is most of the people that come on the show are crazy sons of bitches.
Yeah.
And I say that with a lot of respect. What you doing?
Well, I just want to. So what Ben really, he's. How do I put this? I was going through an extremely difficult time when the restaurants were closing, and I was losing everything I had.
Yeah.
Everything I'd put, any money I'd made in finance before, in some real estate investment, was all in the restaurants. I was all in on it, and it all went up in smoke. There were loans. There was a lot of legal stuff that happened. The restaurants went through bankruptcy.
Yeah.
It was, and I've never thought I would ever have to go through something like that.
I've been
did.
I've been on the ropes a couple times. I get it. People do not understand the soul crushing. It's everything. It's failure, a feeling of failure. It's fear. It's you've got employees. All these things.
You question your time because
did I waste?
You look back on you're like, dude, what did I just spend my time doing?
It was,
and there's judgment of your moral character.
Yes. So I was very tied up at Mr. I am Mr. Bing, and when you go through something like that, you lose everything. I also had a very supportive partner, who had moved in with me, and she's my partner, and she was very supportive of this. But Ben saw what was happening, and he helped me gain perspective on our brand and on the opportunity with CPG. I had started going to CPG events, but I was so down on myself. So down on myself.
I get it.
Yeah.
You know, it didn't work out in Hong Kong at one point, and we built it up even bigger, and it didn't work out again. But we had something. Ben saw that, and he helped me gain perspective and see the light, basically, that there were some changes I need to make in my approach to business and what we were doing. And he proactively said, I'll join you on this new journey, on this new iteration of Mr. Bing in CPG, in e-commerce, in food service, in retail. Wholesale. That's what the Bing bags are. This is a huge part, making Chili Crisp mainstream with chefs, hotels, restaurants, college campuses, airlines. It's a big part of getting the product out there. Ben, he kind of like saved my life in some way. Together with my partner, really helped me not hit total rock bottom.
Yeah. Ben's a good, Ben's a much better friend than me. I'm telling you that.
Yeah, if the same thing had happened to me, Albert would have been like, "Bro, that sucks. Good luck.
Good luck, buddy."
Yeah. No, it was a pivotal moment when he said that he was going to join me on if I wanted to stick this out, and see a future, that he would do that together with me, and we complement each other very well. I know that he has a lot of skill sets that I don't, just in terms of his approach to things. He's like kind of the yin to my yang in many ways in business. And I needed that. I had been flying solo for many years.
Solopreneur's hard.
At that time, by the way, the company I was working for was just about to be acquired by a public company.
Yeah.
And it wasn't an easy decision. There were a lot of companies, like you guys said, failed over that last year, but I worked also in a company that serviced CPG brands.
Yep.
Yeah.
We worked with a lot of the big packaged food brands, and for us as a consumer insight business and working in digital, it was that year was relatively good.
Yeah.
But for me, Brian's being generous. Like investors, they always talk about team, right? First thing they look at is the team.
Yep.
But that's actually what I've been looking for a number of years. I've been looking for another opportunity, and I wanted to do something that I could like smell, touch, taste, feel. That was like, different. I could learn, completely new industry I could learn like every day. But the most important thing I was looking for was a business partner who I could enjoy working with.
Yeah.
You guys know what that's like.
No, I still haven't found that.
Yeah,
Right.
me neither. But I will say that
presumptive.
the what you were looking for though, Ben, is, and I think very true. And I actually think that's what probably investors saw in you guys, because you guys. So I want our audience to think about what they just heard. You got a guy, he starts a business, it goes through bankruptcy, it has a piece of IP and branding, he gets a partner, it emerges, and they ask for reinvestment. Most investors, you would think, would say no, because it's like, hey, your last thing didn't work out, I'm not really keen on this, it's not good. But I think what the investor saw is exactly what you saw, man. Like, dude, you guys sell so fucking hard. The product's good. I think, Nick, we always talk, like, if you have a guy on your team that is willing to sell, like nonstop sell, you got a chance. You always have a fighting chance. So, like, I think you picked the right person. Like, dude, Brian, I've never seen, like, this guy. You're actually quite unfocused in my opinion, because I can't talk to you normally because you're always trying to sell something else. Like,
there's a little ADD going on.
You'll have a marketing call with him, and Brown will be like, "Oh, hey, wait, I gotta talk to someone else." Like, he'll just be, "Hey, oh yeah, you want to buy 5 bags?"
You
got to bring the money in.
I think it's a good thing. It's a good yin and yang.
We actually talk about you guys, like internally, we have conversations like, where's this company going? And we've said for a while, like, Mr. Bing's going to make it because of the drive. Like, we have our other business partner, in his entire career as an investor, he has thus far never lost. And his only gamble is on the people. Like, he almost doesn't care about the product. Like,
he believes good people will figure out a solution to a bad product. If the product's bad, they'll figure it out. And part of it, that believing people, is like your ability to sell. Like, this guy, the grind.
Yep.
That's like something I think we've kind of adopted that at Dieseljack. When we are now hearing people, we don't hear that they want to grind. It's like, like, you're gonna blame marketing then.
We're at a point now, and so this is, I think, are we still month 16 or is this 17 now, or is next month 17? We're finishing 16, so we're coming up on 17.
We're coming at the end of the 30th. We will finish the 17th.
Yeah. So when we started this company, at first it was like we wanted to work with anybody. Now we're like, do we like them?
Are they going to pull this product through?
Is the product good? Are they going to work? Because if the founders are not working and we're just pushing, we can have some success, but we're not going to turn it into like the next level property, because there has to be some, like we call it push pull. You know, Albert talked about it before, but like it's got to be a two-way street. And so now when we encounter founders that are like, oh, I just don't want to deal with this at all, and I want somebody to like
just do it for me.
Like we're like, you know, like
people say that. People actually say that.
People say
founders actually say that.
We'll probably change subjects very quickly. We're about to go into a tangent, but like the social media crowd, like we'll have people fill out lead forms and say, well, what can you do for me? I was like, well, tell me what about your business, and then we start getting the conversation. They're like, well, if you were any good at what you would do, you would just work on commission. I was like, bro, marketing can't solve everything. If marketing could I say it every time and I'll say it again. If marketing could solve everything, no business would go out of business.
Yep.
The fact is, the full experience is what's needed. But we definitely get founders or people who have businesses. They're like, hey, I really don't want to do anything, and can you just do it all?
Well, it's a balance. Look, being an entrepreneur and building it. If I'm obsessed with my business.
Yeah.
But I also love it. I love what I do. I love building our brand. I love having a business partner and a co-pilot doing this. But like, I got to make this work. I'm recovering from hell. I'm rebuilding my life at the age of 44.
I get it.
You know, he's got a wife and 2 kids, and he's taken the plunge. You know, it's not just me on this boat anymore.
Sure.
There's a whole bunch of people and families on this boat now. And I love what we do. We got to make it work.
But you're doing
got to make it work.
But you are making it work.
We are, you know, but it's
all the indicators are that Mr. Bing is gonna blow up. Like,
listen,
as we're watching it,
like as far as we can tell. I mean, I'll say some numbers. We're not going to reveal all numbers, but listen, online sales, I believe, are up over 30% already this month, over month basis. You guys pulled out the wholesale orders. I saw that. It's okay. Because you guys are taking credit for wholesale. Get that out of there. But still, online sales are going up. To give us an idea, like you're because every time
tons of new wholesale accounts.
Yeah, every time we talk to you, you guys are in another, whether it's a commercial business, whether it's a retail business, is picking up Mr. Bing. And I believe you closed a deal at Bodega, which is our corner store.
Yep, all those little places.
On the first day you landed.
Yeah,
all those little places matter.
These guys went to lunch and came back with an account, you know.
But you can do that in this business, which is what I love, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't go to Nike, you know, and go buy a pair of sneakers and be like, oh, I just closed $1 million account with Nike for SaaS.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen. It's going to take you 18 months.
Yep.
And you're going to have to talk to 45 stakeholders. You're going to have your war room map. And then after you've spent, you know...
war room map? Do we have a war room map?
We're working on it.
I feel like I kind of want to walk into Mr. Bing headquarters someday, and there's like a murder board, you know, that they're like connecting pieces of yarn and whatnot. You know?
Yeah, listen to how he described how he was going to try to get one of the universities. He's like, well, I got the name of this one guy. And we're like, do you have a meeting? He's like, no, I'm just gonna walk in and be like, I'm gonna feed him some crisp.
I stand corrected. I mean, but Brian is just phenomenal. So he's like a rocket ship, and you got to just make sure he's pointed in the right direction. Right.
Well, I do biz dev. I do sales. I sell the product. My job is get the chili crisp in your mouth.
Yeah.
Get it on your food or in your mouth.
Sometimes by force. It was really awkward the first time I met him. He was like, "Hi, my name's Brian." I was like, "Hi," and then like, boom, there was a spoon in my mouth.
Listen, by the way, there was a funny video that Brian did. We ultimately elected not to use this in marketing, but it's Brian like stuffing his face with chili crisp.
Yeah.
I mean, they kind of show your love for it. Like,
yeah, like
you're like an industrial
eating it, like palms full.
Yeah.
Actually, let me hold up the.
By the way, that was an accidental video.
Palms full of this.
Yep.
You know, and he's just like, you know, eating like.
But ultimately, we decided against it because while it was funny, we didn't want it to. We're going down the appetizer. We're going to be a fun brand. And Ben, Brian, I'd love for you guys to talk about this. Bing wants to be what? A fun brand that demonstrates food versatility. I believe your tagline when we first met you was everyday condiment and ingredient. We're like, that's
everyday condiment, cooking ingredient. Bring it on. Look, it's the next sriracha is like the real short way of saying it. Sriracha went from being a real niche little ethnic little condiment that was just in like Thai and Vietnamese food to being on tables everywhere and being on menus everywhere on all types of food, right? And that's chili crisp is the next sriracha. It's happening. It is happening, and it is a massive opportunity for us as the only all natural made in USA chili crisp that does retail and food service. We have a fun brand. And it's a huge opportunity, and it's a brand, and it fits our personalities. It fits our experience about what we've done in our lives. I need a partner like this to help execute on the finance side, the legal side, the strategy side, just management, organizational stuff that Ben brings to the table with our team.
I thought you were talking about Grace.
No.
All right, so
Grace is awesome too. Grace runs all of our all the day-to-day logistics. And
phenomenal.
We wouldn't be here without her.
We'll have her on the next episode. But to Al's point, it's the product. We just want to have a kick-ass product.
Yeah.
And that's what pulls. And if Brian, pulls over like some chef's face and shoves this down his throat and it tastes like cardboard, he's gonna get a boot. But that doesn't happen. And we just want to have.
And I want to thank you guys personally for making me the spicy version.
And we did that for you.
No, I want the Inferno. I want the straight Inferno version, by the way.
Spicy.
I want dude, yeah.
Yeah, I want the heat.
So
when we first met, they only had the original Mr. Bing chili crisp, which is like a mild, and then they came out with the spicy. I think right after I asked for it, I said, "Can we have a spicy version?" And just like that, they invested all the money, made thousands of cans of it, just because I personally asked. I believe
you basically changed their fortunes.
I've changed the entire company, and I believe that my spicy formula is the #1 seller right now.
It was actually the 24-month pro bono agreement that we had.
Yeah. True negotiation.
Turnabout is fair play.
Some people accept Bitcoin payments. Others accept chili crisp payments.
You can pay us in Bitcoin.
Yes, the spicy is selling almost 2-to-1 on the retail side, but chefs tend to use the mild more for mass market appeal.
Yep.
But it's great to have the two different versions. It's two completely different customer segments.
I totally understand what you're saying though, because in the food business, whenever you see like salsas, they're marketed as spicy, and you eat them, they're never that spicy. The reality is the majority of palates can't take it.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
I'm the kind of guy that likes to walk into a Thai restaurant and say,
Give
give
me
it to me
Thai hot."
Thai hot.
And they give you the funny look.
That's
like,
courage.
They're like,
Yeah, they're like, you sure? And I'm like, yeah. And then I regret it later, but even though it hurts, I just hold the pain inside.
yeah. So I've got to ask you guys, because this has been a really fun. You guys, we're almost up our hour. You guys have told the story, the founding story. It's a lot of fun. We are actual fans of the product. We do eat it here. We're not just being shills here. You will find this currently in our. You saw it, like it's on our tables. Like we eat chili crisp now. We were introduced to it by Brian and Ben. But I want to talk about internet trolls, because it's something everyone has to deal with. We have to deal with it. You guys have to deal with it. When it comes to food.
As always, for those of you listening, we're in Durham. We let the sirens happen. People get murdered every 15 minutes.
It is
so
rough.
we just, you can't stop it. It's the circle of life.
There you go. But let's talk about internet trolling, because people come out of their way to tell us that our videos and commercials suck. And our helicopter.
Yeah,
the helicopter
all the
we
time.
rented, it's like that's the worst helicopter ever.
It's the one thing we never expected. Like our commercial, for our company, which we only have one commercial. We only run one commercial. It's been hugely effective, and we love it. But the opening scene is I get off of a R-44 helicopter in a tux, and we're like, hey, let's rent.
We were on a budget. We rented a helicopter that was available from a company that was willing to let us film.
Yeah,
and that's why we chose it.
Yeah, so it was like $500 an hour for this helicopter, and I know nothing about helicopters other than the military helicopters that I used to be on. I was like, yeah, this looks cool, and we dropped this video that we're proud of, and I'm going to tell you that probably 97% of all of the comments on our video are R-44, real nice. If you guys were really a badass brand, you'd have a better helicopter.
Yeah, it's like that's like the Saturn of helicopters.
I was expecting Airwolf when I started.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said, well, hire us so that I can get Airwolf. That's literally the comment that I posted.
But when it comes to food specifically, food is very personal. Like people will argue about Coke and Pepsi, even though, in my opinion, they taste the same, right? But people are.
That's a terrible thing.
I'm just saying. people, you think they taste different?
They absolutely taste different.
I don't know, not to me.
They do.
But people are always, internet trolls cannot seem to let anything slide. They want to dog you and everything. How do you guys think about dealing with
So yeah, what's it like? Because it's got to hurt a little bit because you've put so much.
Because you know these people haven't tried your cheerleader crisp, and they're just like saying shit about it.
I can't be hurt anymore because I've had like 17 years of social media nonsense. Like I was on Mia Spazio, or as most people here call it, MySpace. But you know, like the hate over the years, no matter what you do, you're a piece of crap. But you guys are new to the loathing. How are you dealing with it?
Well, we're not new to it in the sense I had restaurants for
That's fair.
for 7 or 8
so you got
years.
articles.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you know about this thing called Yelp.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't even think of that.
So
Yeah.
been there, been through it.
Listen, don't
Kinda
trust.
became hardened to it.
Don't trust Yelp because inevitably in any town, the top Mexican restaurant is like a Taco Bell or El Pollo Loco. You know what I mean? Like Yelp is useless.
You know, you do your best, and if most people are happy and you're proud of your product, it's the best you can do. You respond to comments, you watch what people are saying. You cannot let it get the best of you. It always hurts. It's always a little knife in your heart
Yeah.
when you see it, but you got to learn. Ben's been in digital marketing and social listening for years, and then I'm sure he has his own take on it. But with
I mean, just don't feed the trolls. I mean, it's a good question because I think Brian, you were more sensitive to some of these comments. Maybe because you've been in the restaurant industry for so long, but for me, like every comment is an opportunity to learn, and sometimes there's something that's real there that you can learn from, and you can engage, you can ask questions. Every time there's a product that leaks or breaks or whatever, that's an opportunity to win over someone and to turn them into an advocate. So you have to figure out, is this a legitimate complaint that you can address and you can make this person happy and you can turn them into a word of mouth hero, or is it just someone who's bored sitting on the toilet and they're just going to they're grumpy and they want to take it out on someone else. And
So you guys still try to make people happy.
You see,
I remember those days.
See, Mr. Bing. See, that's what I was thinking. Mr. Bing is a fun brand, but then I thought to myself, Wendy's is a fun brand, but they will roast the shit.
They will
out of
destroy you. Wendy's,
If you talk shit about Wendy's on Twitter, they'll fuck you up.
Wendy's will ruin your life.
I feel like Mr. Bing should take a combination of Ted
really,
Lasso.
I would like to see
kindness.
some of that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wendy's will ruin your life. Like Wendy's will make you question everything. if
Like
you go
people will
against
comment
them
on Wendy's like,
Twitter.
"Oh, I don't like your new chicken bacon sandwich," and they'll say something like, "I don't take advice from people with skullets."
Wendy's will.
Or I don't take advice from like people that look like you. Like, they'll say something like
They'll
that.
go find a picture of your mom in high school and be like, I won't say it.
But
are you guys trying to sell us an additional service here?
well,
No,
I'm throwing it out an idea. I'm throwing out an idea. So obviously Ted Lasso is super popular right now, and he's like overwhelmingly kind. But I wonder if Mr. Bing could be like this overwhelmingly kind character, but says mean shit still. You know what I mean? I really appreciate.
I think they're nicer than you. And
I mean,
I
but
think
I'm,
they're
just,
nicer.
I'm saying it's an opportunity.
Or his little craze fair turns into an axe.
Albert just wants to be mean. He just wants to be mean to people. All right, so we always try to focus this show on new entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs that are in the mix and they're trying to make their businesses better.
In the process, yeah.
Couple things that you would do if you were starting a restaurant now, and a couple things that you would do if you were starting a consumer product right now. Advice for the noobs.
Yeah.
Or for people that are in the mix, that are just trying to grow their business.
Ben, you want to take that first?
Thank you. Yeah. Man, I would not start a consumer product.
You sound like me. Start actually
People are always like,
is an agency or a t-shirt company.
people are always like, hey, I really want to start a t-shirt company like you did. What's your advice? Don't start a t-shirt company.
Yeah, it's a bad idea.
I'm like, there's that movie that like the guy who steps in the closet and he can like turn back his life.
Yeah.
It's pretty much every moment of my day. I'm like, I wish I could do that decision over again. Yeah, I don't know. Like for me, I just did what I could do, what I was good at, until I found an opportunity that I could add to someone else. That there was already an idea that was like a great trend, a great product. I wasn't out like looking, to solve problems, or I mean that's what I did with my first business. I was like, let's turn natural word of mouth marketing into a media channel that can be quantified, and we're going to make $1 million in China. And I was just like, what? You don't try to go out and solve a problem that you have no context, that you have. If there's something that you're passionate about, and be smart. Like, we probably don't need another peanut butter brand, but you know someone who has a connection with it, or you see a market opportunity, and you can do something, then jump into it. And CPG is huge right now. Like last year, there's industries like hygiene, for example, where brands like that you've seen, like Lysol and Dettol, only under the sink and under the kitchen, have just the whole industry has been renovated. And it's been little startup brands like Touchland, like those that we just made like hand sanitizer sexy. If you see little opportunities like that, CPG is massive, because it's a different world now. You can sell direct to consumer, all that stuff that you guys know really well. But to be honest, I would look around and find the people that I know that are doing something that I really like. Maybe it's yourself. In that case, find someone else, and then just like dive into it, like head over heels. I definitely would not go into the restaurant industry though.
Yeah. So I got burned in restaurants real bad, but that doesn't mean I would tell people not to start one. I would say, make sure you're super passionate about that food, about your story, the brand, and do it slow. Start with a little tent pop-up at your local street fair festival. Hone it, test it, get feedback from people, get it right. Do not move too fast. Don't invest a ton of money in some space that you find, or you get some deal and you sign yourself into some long rent commitment and you spend all this money in renovations before you've really even proven the product. Just be real careful about it. Unless you're loaded and it doesn't matter and it's a glamour project, which it is really hard. But I mean, we learned it. I
just want to interject. As always, if you're loaded, nothing we say here matters, because nothing that's ever going to happen to you will affect you in any meaningful way.
Because if you fail, you're not actually at zero. We're zero to somewhere.
Yeah,
you don't go to zero.
Yeah. So
if you're worth like $20 million and you
don't
lose
listen.
$100,000,
Don't listen to our podcast. If you're worth $20 million and always have been, don't listen to our podcast. We don't want you here. You'll never understand.
Brian makes a really good point with like starting slow, which is, I heard a great definition for wealth. And most things that come to my mind, I forget instantly. So I'm not going to tell you who said it because I don't remember. But it was that true wealth is when your passive income is greater than your expense. And that doesn't mean you have to be extremely wealthy. It just means you have to, be rational about what you're spending. And if you can do something, if you can be conservative and you can make 5% more than you're spending, then, passively, then you have a massive amount of time to go into a new project. So I think people who were smarter when they're younger and they busted their butt, they put money in like a Roth IRA or whatever, or bought a little bit of property, and they just got a little bit of money to come in month to month, and that freed them up to not have to do something they don't enjoy. Then they can start slow with the restaurant and not have to worry if it's, and we're not in that position right now. I wish we were, but and CPG, it's like, it's cutthroat. You got to go faster than everybody else. However,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. However, I think if I were talking to people now in their 20s, I would say, like, forget about Bitcoin, investing in stock, or whatever. Like, put a little bit of money in a place. Yeah, sorry, everybody's gonna hate me. Put a little bit of money in some place that you can get a little bit of return that's compounding, and then by the time you're 35, just be conservative and then do something you love, and that's when it's going to take off, because you're not going to learn anything until you're 35, right?
Yep. So two things that I wanted to just chime in on. First of all, I did all of the things that you said, but then still had to empty my Roth IRA to save my company once. So it can still go wrong.
Yeah.
But the second thing is, I just wanted to thank you for not saying something like true wealth is when you have love in your heart. That was it. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Well,
the one thing I'll say to all your advice is, the other thing I'd recommend for anyone is to, like you mentioned, 35. There's I saw some stats about how entrepreneurs who start things later in life actually are more successful, even despite what you see on TV and stuff or movies you might glamorize. Some of the tech founders who start in their 20s, yeah, no question, they blew up. But the larger majority is actually older. One of the things I really found out about is like the doing? What do you like to do? Yeah. Because one of the things I've found out the hard way about anything that you love is that what you love is not actually what you'll be doing. What you'll be doing is often admin. It might be sales. It might be pick, pack, and ship. It might be constant supply chain vendor management. Like a lot of people don't think to themselves, oh, I've made a food. It's delicious. I think the world would love to share it. I got bad news for you, man. Your most of your time is going to be spent in one of those areas: wholesale management, supply chain management, selling products. Like if you don't do that job and find out that you might possibly hate it, it's going to be hard to stomach. Because like I think people think that like if you like a cookie brand or like protein bar, like they're like, oh, I just spent all my day making flavors. Like I don't think that's what they're doing.
No, I think
that's not their day at all.
I think Hollywood has definitely ruined what people think an entrepreneur is. Like according to Hollywood, entrepreneurs are like 25-year-old.
And it's all idea driven. I had an idea.
And then here's the magic. 25-year-old, they're in tuxes all day. They spend their time on the beach. Reality is the average millionaire becomes a millionaire at 52 years old. That's reality.
Yeah, listen to Guy Raz, How I Built This. Listen to Scott Galloway stuff. Listen to Gary Vee. I mean, listen to some of these podcasts. They're fantastic for entrepreneurship stories and horror stories, and a lot. There's a lot of failure. We've been through it, right? You got to love it, and you got to take a gradually a more measured approach. You got to have the right partners involved. You got to know what you don't know. You got to know what you don't know, and find people who know those things, and let them do what they do. I mean, there's so much to it, but I mean, I wouldn't trade it for anything. It is also difficult balancing your personal life with it sometimes in entrepreneurship.
Super hard.
Very difficult. Can be very difficult on home life. You have to be prepared for that, and you need a partner who and a family who supports what you're doing, and you have to learn how to balance that and have that's another big piece of it.
The secret that Albert and I have is like you have to find wives that don't actually like you.
That's the key.
I was like,
that's actually the key.
Hey,
when you said that your wife wanted you to spend her birthday with her, I was like, what? I've never heard of that.
I was like, hey, Suze, I'm thinking about going to Afghanistan. She's like, oh, that's a great idea. You should go right away.
So Nick did not spend, I believe it was your anniversary, right? Like anniversary.
We spent, yeah.
But you didn't, like she went to the beach and you went to work.
She went to the beach. I went to work. And then we celebrated our anniversary on the Saturday before I flew to Afghanistan. Because we had missed our actual anniversary.
Yeah, me and my wife don't really celebrate.
Yeah, she doesn't like me.
Yeah, exactly. So if you have a wife that tolerates you, or a husband that tolerates you but doesn't actually want to spend any time with you, now you just unlocked so much time. What's up?
Yeah, look at her, look at me. It was for the green card. I respect it. You know?
Brian, Ben, man, I appreciate you two joining us today on Zero to Somewhere. Thanks for sharing your story of your journey. All the best to Mr. Bing. Mr. Bing, where can they find this?
You can find it on Amazon, on our website, Mr.
Don't buy it from Amazon. Buy Mr-Bing.com. Don't buy it on Amazon.
Mr-Bing.com. Better discounts, better loyalty programs. And then there's other wholesale sites and over 200 stores nationwide and restaurants that are using it. And we'll be in over 2,000 locations.
Next year, over 2,000 locations.
Next year.
Awesome.
It's the only one under $9.99 that's all natural. Great value for money.
You know what we forgot to do is you got to describe how it tastes, because I don't think, because to your point, it's an emerging trend. It's not mainstream at all.
Yeah, so a lot of people don't know what it is.
Most people have no clue how this tastes.
So let's close this with a sultry description
Tell me what
of how delicious Bing is when it hits your mouth.
Brian, that's definitely you.
What's gonna be in my mouth when I put this in
Mr. Bing makes your taste buds go zing. It's got a little crisp, a little crunch, a little sweetness, a little spiciness. It's not that spicy. It's the kind of spice that kind of builds up over time. It's really about the texture and the flavor. It's got little crispy onions and garlic and rice bran. It's got 3 types of chilies, 2 types of mushroom powders, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of salt, a little bit of Sichuan peppercorn for that little bit of that numbing, but not too much. It just goes down real well. You can eat it straight if you want. When I'm hungry, I got nothing else. I do eat chili crisp straight. You just gotta try it. It's
all right. Listen, I got the secret recipe for everybody who wants to know what to do with it. If you have rice, if you have any leftovers, throw it all together. Throw some Bing on it. It tastes good.
Mix it up.
I've made it with frozen vegetables. My kids eat it. I just take some rice, throw some frozen vegetables, eggs.
They'll eat frozen vegetables.
Oh, my kids don't.
Well, I mean,
eat
I think
meat,
he
really.
thaws them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's in a frying pan.
I was like,
in a frying
it's
pan.
good. It's not quite
Yes.
that good. Your kids don't like you either. It's not just your wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't like me
Yeah,
either.
yeah.
No.
But
All right.
you put it on eggs, rice, pizza, pasta, burgers, veggies, anything as a condiment or as a cooking ingredient, as a finishing sauce.
It's got it all.
Buy it, post it, tag it at Mr. Bing NYC is our Instagram, MRBING NYC. And we engage with you. We'll share your stuff. Do a TikTok. We have a TikTok channel as well. We have a YouTube channel coming right now soon.
Man.
Going hard in the bank.
Also, yeah.
We'll link all these below. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
Thanks,
All
guys.
right. Oh, keep it rolling. Keep it rolling.
Yep.
All right. So as always, we like to close out the show after we've spoken to our guests. And the story that you guys have to understand this. If you're starting a business, you have to understand that there are so many highs and lows. The journey is not that straight line that everybody thinks it is. It is all over the place. And you heard in Brian's voice how rough it can be.
Yeah.
Like where you're cashed out, where you've spent years working on something. The ability to rally from that is so important. Because I'll tell you that even when things are good, there are hard days. Yesterday, Albert and I, we have the biggest month we've ever had by a long shot.
Yeah.
This is a kick-ass month for Diesel Jack.
We're questioning how we do things.
And we were like both sad-faced in the office yesterday. Literally, it was like a pity party. Like, I think that we have this thing that we're doing isn't working, and we have to change this thing. And like we were like, I left the office like sad, and Albert I think did also.
Well, I mean, it was more like we have a problem in front of us, which is we have a potential product offering that isn't quite going to be good enough, I think, for our customers. And I think that's something that every business has to evaluate. Like you might have something that's not good enough. And so we were talking about, and I think it's perfectly fine to say here, is like the anchor videos got really popular very fast, which is anchor videos are the big hero videos that you see big investment in. The most popular ones are like Squatty Potty, Purple has a huge one, Dollar Shave Club. These are the videos that like create a brand. But the problem, and it's not a bad thing, but it is a problem. The problem is like when you work with clients that they invest, let's say, an overwhelming majority of their budget in the anchor video, and it doesn't hit, just like we just talked about at the beginning. Disney makes losers.
Yeah.
And you make something that's not quite the game changer. I mean, it stings all the way around.
Yep.
To the point where we're like, maybe we should decline. Like, I think it's okay to say, we're thinking like maybe for our first engagement we should decline. Like, we shouldn't do it. We should offer up shooting days where we film a lot of hits, a lot of photos. You guys just did a shooting day with us. You saw that we stayed extra to do a couple extra things. I think we need more at bats. I mean, it's a strategy talk. That's what our Monday strategy discussion is going to be, to see like, does this help customers more? Because if it helps customers more, we will win. And if it doesn't, of course, we'll have to try something different. And
it's not that anchor videos don't work. The majority of the anchor videos we've done have worked and have been very successful. But when they miss, especially for smaller businesses, it's like, man, like everybody feels bad. They feel bad. We feel bad. And what we do here internally, because of who we are, is we shoot other stuff. Like we don't let people lose.
I mean, that's the biggest challenge I would say in marketing is you bill for how hard it is to create the creative, but you're measured by how successful that creative goes.
Yep.
So if you, at the end of the day, if you make someone a great commercial that's beautifully shot, well lit, it's got actors and actresses and it's got great props and you think it's exciting, but it doesn't move the needle, the customer ain't happy.
Customer's not happy.
They don't look at that. They don't treat it like art. They treat it as a tool, and the tool didn't get the job done. They're like, well, this tool sucks.
So what we're talking about now is, instead of opening for a customer with a giant anchor video, is opening with 5 micro videos. Like, hey, instead, like
we need a lot of it.
We don't want to start with an anchor. We're not going to get rid of it, but we want to start with micro video, micro video, micro video. Then once we figure out the direction that's resonating, then maybe it's time for the anchor once we've already found a pathway to success. And so these are things we're talking about internally. None of that was what I meant to bring up. What I wanted to talk about is just, even when things are good, the amount of work that goes into this shit is exhausting.
And you're never done.
You're never done. No matter like what.
There's always someone coming.
What worked yesterday doesn't work today. And that can be because market changes, the economy opens up again, people don't want to shop online. That can be because Facebook and iTunes and Google and everybody's fighting about
Kim Kardashian
about
eats your
attribution.
competitor on TV.
Yeah, Kim Kardashian decides she wants her own chili crisp.
Yeah.
You
She
know?
does?
No.
Not yet.
Not yet.
But it will be a problem if she does.
Crazy-
She will market. Kim
Cra-
Kardashian moves some product.
Yeah.
The Kardashians sell product.
Crazy things can happen.
Yeah.
And having the ability to power through those moments
Yeah.
is critical to success. And something that I can attest to, even though I personally don't like Albert, I do like working with him, and having a business partner that helps grind through those things the way that Brian and Ben work together is also critical. Because, you know, like Albert and I are not guys that often talk about things like mental health, but entrepreneurship has the highest highs and the lowest lows. And anything that you can do to protect like your soul and your happiness is a good thing. So great teamwork, personal grit. If you don't have those things, this is a tough path.
Yeah. Tough path. But at the end of the day, if you're on the journey, give us a shout. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you want to bring or pitch your product on Zero to Somewhere, reach out to us at hello@dieseljack.com. We will see you next week. Bye, Mr. Bing.
Bing it on.
Bang it on. Bang it.